Hey guys, my name is Lilly and today I want to make a video about why I'm so glad that I never bought a big solar array for my house. So in 2021 I got an offer of a solar company and everyone was nervous because of the pandemic and the rising electricity prices, and people were freaking out and they were installing a lot of solar systems on their houses. So one time I also had a solar company coming to my house and they were taking a look at my roof and they said, hey, you have the perfect roof, it's south facing and we can fit 7 kilowatts of solar panels on your roof. And first I was excited because I thought I can save money in the long term, but then they told me the price of the solar array. So they would come to my house and install the solar system in one day. So that means mounting the solar panels, leading a cable into the basement, connecting it to an inverter and connecting the inverter to my smart meter. So basically work that can be done in one day with 3 people. And they wanted to charge me 12,000 euros, a little bit more than that actually, for a 7 kilowatt solar array and a cheap inverter from China. And then he did some calculations on how he compared our demand, our electricity demand, and he made a calculation how long it takes until the investment pays off. And then he told us it's going to take 18 years until the investment pays back. 18 years, guys. So then I declined the offer. And that's because, in the meantime, I phoned a friend at the countryside, and he's an electrician. And when I told him this offer, he said that it's far too expensive because he knew that the materials of this solar system would only cost like 6,500 euros. Yeah, I'm not going to make an investment that takes 18 years to pay back. And then after 18 years, the solar panels are already old. So that made no sense to me. And then gladly, I did not make this investment. But I know other people did in my vicinity. So about every third house now has a big solar system. And I don't think it's a bad thing, but it's just too expensive to do it. So right now it's too expensive. Now, if you can do it yourself and make all of the installations yourself, then you can still get a solar system for cheaper. But most people cannot do it. So I have a friend on the countryside. He did it himself, and he got a huge array for a really good price. I think it only cost him like 6,500 euros or so. So yeah, if you can do it yourself and get the materials, and maybe you have a friend who is an electrician, then you can do it yourself. But if you take an order from a company, it's highly likely that they will rip you off, at least here in the city. Maybe in the countryside it's a little bit better, the price. At the countryside the people are very ferocious, so if you try to rip them off, they will kick you out of the house. Yeah. So yeah, anyway, I didn't get a huge solar system, and in the hindsight, I'm really happy about it. Even if you get a better price on the solar system, the only one who really profits of your solar system is the energy company. And energy companies actually love it when people install their own solar systems because they have no financial risk. They also have no risk of liability. So in case, I don't know, one of the solar panels is faulty and your house burns down, they have no liability. Also, they profit with a huge profit margin. So right now I have to pay like 33 cents per kilowatt hour, which is a lot. But if I sell the energy company my self-produced electricity, then they only pay like 1/3 of the price or something, or even less. So the energy company pays a little bit of money for my kilowatt hours, and then the electricity goes around the corner to the neighbor's house and they charge him 3 times that. So the energy companies are the real winners if you are installing a solar system. And I'm talking about the big solar system. Also, if you install the solar panels on your roof of your house, there can be damages to the system. Sometimes technical appliances are just faulty, or there can be a hailstorm or a thunderstorm or a tornado, and then the system can get damaged, and then your house can actually burn down. So there's always this risk that if you install a solar panel on your roof, that your house might burn down. Now, the next thing that I've observed is that a lot of people are getting troubles when wanting to have a contract with the electricity provider. So in the past, it was super easy to get a contract, but now it seemed as if the electricity provider let people wait until they give them a contract. For example, my neighbors here, they have installed a huge solar array on their house. They made a huge investment, and then they have applied for a contract with the electricity provider, and the electricity provider let them wait for half a year. So they did not receive €1 for the first 6 months of their investment. And I've heard that a couple of times now, and sometimes you were reading this in a newspaper. And I think the reason for this is actually the market is saturated with solar systems, especially here in this area where we have a lot of houses where you can mount solar panels on. It's the case now that the electricity provider has troubles with the demand. So now we have too much electricity around noontime, and they don't know what to do with the electricity. Because when you take a look at the electric grid, it's important that the production of kilowatt hours is exactly the same kilowatt hours of the demand. You cannot have a higher demand than production, vice versa, because this would bring the system to a collapse. So at any time, at any second, there needs to be exactly the same amount of kilowatt hours produced as it's used. And now they have the problem that there's too much electricity in the system. And our grid system is not thick enough in terms of diameter of conductors. So the wires are not thick enough to transport away this electricity because our grid system was not built for high current loads like this. Back in the day when they have built the electrical grid here in Europe, they have calculated the wire size for a certain amount of amperes. And they didn't plan for having 10 times more amperes going over the wire at one time. So now they have problems with too much energy, and this is why probably now energy providers don't want people to build so many solar systems anymore in certain regions. So it really depends on the regions and how many people in this region have already installed a solar system. Now, in general, I think that solar technology is a great and fascinating technology, so I don't have anything against it, but I think the way that they want to use it for is not working. So I think for an entire country, solar energy doesn't work by itself. You always need to supplement it with other more reliable forms of energy like nuclear plants or coal plants, natural gas plants or hydro plants. Now some people say, yeah, if you combine wind turbines with solar, it's going to work, but actually sometimes in wintertime there's no wind and no sun. So you could have 6 weeks of no sun in wintertime and no wind. So it's just not working out as many people want it to be. And that's really sad. I wish it was different, but it's not. So I'm really happy that I did not invest in a solar system. And I think I made the right decision. But what I'm still a fan of is smaller solar systems like this one here. So I'm watching a lot of off-grid YouTubers. They're completely living off the grid, off the electrical grid, and they are using solar panels which work pretty well for 9 months out of the year. And then in wintertime they supplement their electricity with generators. And very often they are using batteries. So solar panels together with generators, they are a great solution for people who are living off the grid and for people who want to save money and don't want to have an electrical bill. All right, so some people don't have a relation about the wattage of a solar panel. So if you are a minimalist, I think that 400 watts of solar panels are enough to live off-grid. With 400 watts you can power a refrigerator, for example, or a freezer, and you can power lights, LED lights, and you can recharge your laptop and your phone. But some people have a little bit of a bigger system, like 2 kilowatts, for example, and that's already really good, and you can live pretty comfortably with a lot of electrical devices. So that's just a comparison of what you would need if you want to live off the grid. But in general, 400 watts should be okay, and in wintertime it would be better to have more panels so that on a cloudy day like today you have more electricity. Alright, so now I want to show you this solar system that I've installed. This is actually not an island solar system, but this is something that we call a balcony plant. So here in Europe we are allowed to have 800 watts of solar panels and attach it to the grid of our house, and this will reduce the demand of electricity that we have to purchase from the energy companies. And I think this system is brilliant. I really do love it. And it actually doesn't cost a lot of money. So this solar system here, including the panel and the micro inverter at the inside, cost me 185 euros for the panel and 350 for the micro inverter, I believe. So that's about 500 euros, okay? If you get a bigger system, then maybe 600 euros. But now actually the solar panels are cheaper. So now you can get one for 100 euros, and that's really cheap. So that's a really good price actually. And I've done some calculations, and I've calculated that even if there are more cloudy days, this solar panel is going to produce 200 euros a year. So in 2.5 years, this system has paid off, and from then on, this system is going to save me 200 bucks every year. All right, so here I have one solar panel. It has 375 watts. Now the thing is that actually I had to mount it flush on the roof because we have really strong winds. So unfortunately I cannot angle it because then the thunderstorm would rip it out of the pool shed. And yeah, I don't want that to happen. So I had to mount it flush on the roof. And that's bad because now I have 20% less efficiency. So if you can, you always want to try to angle the solar panel against the south side. But here in my case, it was not possible. So I probably in future will try to get a bigger solar panel, maybe 500 watts or so, to make up for this efficiency loss. Yeah, and this is where I have put in the cables into the pool shed, and this is where the solar cables come in, and then they go right into the micro inverter, and here the DC current is going to get converted to AC current. Then here at this side I could attach the second solar panel, so one micro inverter can handle two 400 watts solar panels. Yeah, and then the cable leads into this corner. And here I have installed a Shelly, so I can monitor the energy which is coming into the electrical grid. And then the entire system is just plugged into my socket. And this is how it's connected to the electrical grid. Okay, so now let's open up the Shelly app. So now it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And today, which is the blue line, we got like 100 watts at 9 o'clock, but then it got really cloudy, and then it produced like around 50 watts, although it was really cloudy today. So this is how the clouds look. It's really thick clouds. So I'm really surprised that I got about 50 watts for around 5 hours. And today the total energy was 477 watt hours. And that's not too bad for a cloudy day. Yesterday, for example, it was quite a shiny day with a little bit of clouds. Yesterday I have produced around 1.7 kilowatt hours. So this is my small solar system and I really love it. I think it's awesome and it's helping people to save a little bit of money and lower their electrical bill. But now let's think about the worst case scenario. Let's think about a blackout. What if there's a blackout? Will this system still be working? The answer is no. That's because of a safety feature of the microinverter. So the microinverter detects every second if the electrical grid is working. If it's not working and there's no electricity coming from the grid, from the house, then the microinverter shuts off and disconnects the solar panel from the grid. So in a blackout situation, a system like this is almost useless, unless you build yourself an island solar system. And this is something that I've done now 3 times, I believe. And now I've decided to build myself a 3rd solar system, which I want to mount on this wall here. And in case of a blackout, I want to disconnect the cable from the microinverter. And then I'm going to attach it to my self-built solar system, which I'm going to mount here underneath the roof. And then I can still use the power of my solar panel to recharge my power stations for my freezer and refrigerator, or to recharge, for example, my e-bike battery. And this is going to be my project for the next month. So if you want to see a video of how I'm building this system, then make sure that you are subscribing to my channel. So this is it, guys. Thank you for watching and stay tuned till next time.